Hey, what's going on? It's Maike back with another video. Today I want to talk to you about some tips and tricks for getting better at editing your portraits in Adobe Lightroom. Don't we have enough of these already? Wait, what? I mean, aren't there already enough of these tutorials on the internet? Well, I don't know, but I want to share my tips now, so would you please let me make this video? Okay, go on. Now, as you know, photo editing can be a tricky thing. But don't fear, my friends. Who's afraid of editing photos? Why are you still here? People can be afraid of anything. Well, okay, but do you really want to start your video like this? Don't you want to play like a cool intro with music and your logo? No, I don't want to do this. So please stop interrupting and go somewhere else. Okay, fine, I will leave you to it. So, without further ado, let's get started with tip number 1. The most important thing with portraits is to have a natural skin color, so we don't want the skin to look too red or too yellow. For this, the first thing I always do is to correct the white balance. To do this, you can simply click on the eye picker tool and select the brightest or the darkest parts in your image. Sometimes you have to correct the adjustments manually, which you can do with these two sliders. I think this looks quite good already. To work on the skin color a little bit more, because we want to get it as even as possible, I'm going to go down to the HSL panel and see what we can do here. The easiest way to select all of your skin colors is to click on this icon here and click on the skin to select all the colors of it. This way you can simply drag this to the left or to the right to change the sliders. As you can see here, the orange and red sliders are moving, and this is exactly what we want. What I always like to do is to brighten up the skin tones as well. So I just get into the luminance panel and click this icon, select the skin and move your cursor up to brighten up your skin just a little bit. Having a nice color grading makes your image really stand out. There are certain options to achieve a good look, so I'm going to show you my workflow for this. I always like to start right at the bottom at the calibration panel. Here I always crank up the saturation slider of a blue primary. This is an easy way to really enhance your colors and bring in some dynamics to your image. Another thing I always do is to add some teal colors onto the shadows, which we can do in the color grading panel. If you want to know more about this panel, click here and check out another video of mine in which I explain this tool in depth. To normalize the skin tones, it's important to put a tiny bit of orange into the midtones again. Another important thing is to sharpen your images. No matter how good your camera or lens are, sharpen your images always makes your image stand out more. Of course, we don't want to overdo this, so we're going to sharpen it very subtle. Another great way to do this is to use this mask, and when you hold Option on your keyboard and gently move this to the right, you can see how this only affects the black parts of your image. This way we can only concentrate on the edges. Did you know that with Lightroom we can also do some beauty retouching very easily? Let me show you how. To remove blemishes, you can use this little tool up here and just click on the things you want to get removed. This works just as the clone stamping tool in Photoshop. Lightroom is looking for another spot to clone from. If you want to select this part manually, you can simply drag this little circle onto the part you want to copy from. Smoothing your skin is also possible with Lightroom. You just need to paint a mask with a brush tool up here. Be sure to have a very soft feather and only paint onto the skin. So leave out the mouth and eyes and also the hair. Now you can click on this effect panel and look for the smooth skin effect. The program itself makes some adjustments to smoothen the skin. You can always increase or decrease the intensity of this effect. With mask, you can also make your subject really stand out in your image. So for example, if you have a radial mask and make a little circle onto your model's face, it helps the viewer to focus onto the subject. This way you can lead the eyes to any point you want them to lead. For portraits, it makes sense to let them lead to the face. Another way to get the viewer's attention is to make another radial mask onto the subject, but this time invert it and make it darker. This way we're getting a self-made vignette, but instead it being only on the corners of your image, we can choose where the dark parts start, and we can also darken our whole background. Lightroom even has a cool new function that lets us select the subject, so if you have this radial mask for the background, we can subtract the whole subject in the foreground to make it really stand out. So these were my personal Lightroom editing tips to make your portraits look amazing. I hope I could help you to learn a few things and that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It will really mean a lot and help me to grow this channel. That's it for today. I'm going to see you in the next video.